How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Manatee Gaming. As you can see, we are already in the Grand Exchange because in this video, I've got quite a bit to cover, so I'm going to go ahead and just sort of jump right on into it without a big introduction or whatever, but I am happy to be making this video. It's been a little bit since I made a video. We had a stream last, which was really fun, but let's make another video about some upcoming content. Today, we're going to be talking about double XP. So, if you've been following the frequency of double XPs at all over the last, couple years, we should be having another double XP coming up really soon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a few different items you can invest into if you'd like to, like give you some examples of items that could be good. I'm also going to show you their graphs and exactly how we know that they could be good or if they could be bad. And then also I'm going to show you, well, with that strategy, like showing you all that, you guys will be able to make your own decisions about other items you might want to look into as well. But I'm going to give you plenty of examples here and be able to show you, what to look for. So let's go ahead and jump on into it. Here we go. Okay, to start us off, we're going to be looking at the Runescape wiki at the double XP live page. You can literally just type in double XP live or double XP or whatever, it'll bring up this page. So when we look at this page is what we're going to use to look and see when double XP events happened. That way that when we look at the graphs for items, then we will know what dates we should be looking at, because we won't know the price changes without actually looking at that. So if we look right here, we can type, we can just click on events. So boom, that'll just scroll you down the page and bring you to the page of when the previous events were. So we can look right here, we can see the most recent previous events. These are the ones that are going to be the most relevant to what we're going to be looking for. And they are right here. So we've got the most recent one being 18th of October was the announcement date, and then the start date is 5 November. Then we have announcement date of 27 July, and then it's 6 August. So if we just remember, like, beginning of November, beginning of August, those are the dates we're going to be looking for. It's also pretty important, though, to remember these announcement dates, because a lot of times items will actually peak to their highest point ever for that event on the actual announcement date. The next time they usually peak is on the start date, and then there are a few items that will continue to rise all the way through the end date, but not very many of them actually do that. So let's go ahead and keep those dates in mind as we move forward with our first item. So coming back around to my Grand Exchange, I'm going to show you guys the first item. I want to show you guys this item first because the graph for this item actually makes it very, very obvious for the double XP times. And there are some different things about this, though, like some strategies you can use to make this item a lot better. So let's go ahead and go over them. So Elder Rune Full Helm +5 is the item. It has a buy limit of 100, which is not that big of a deal because you can simply just put in offers like this, like I do right here, where I'm buying a certain quantity over time. As you can see right here, my price per item is 12, 11, 1, 2, 3. The reason why is because, well, actually, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's look at the sale history. I'll show you what I've actually been buying them for. So I bought some Elder Rune Full Helm +5s at 1266, and I also bought, I like price checked here for 1264. I also bought some more at 1283. I also bought some more at 1283. So as you can see, I've been buying them at a bunch of different prices and slowly working my way down. Just to make the long story short here about what a great strategy for an item like Elder Rune Full Helm is that when an item has a lower buy limit, then you can usually buy it for quite a bit lower, and you can also usually sell them for quite a bit higher than an item that has a higher buy limit. So just a rule of thumb, if it has a low buy limit, then don't be afraid to stretch how much you could possibly be buying them for. So just because I was buying them for 1266, I'm going to go ahead and try to buy them for 1211, and then I'll work my way back up if they don't buy. When we look at the graph for this item, you can kind of see where I'm getting those numbers from and also why I'm choosing this item. So if we go by our dates, so we look back at our dates right here, we've got the most recent one being 5 November to 15 November, and then we've got 6 August to 16 August. We want to use these most recent ones, by the way, and not the older ones, because these are the ones that are most relevant to the current market. That is the reason why we're looking at these and not really looking too much at these. You can like look at the older ones to get an idea of, like, what kind of percent it might rise, but it's not as relevant based on current market inflation, all that kind of stuff. So these ones we really want to use for all of our items. So 5 November, 15 November, 6 August, 16 August. If we look back here, right here, we can see, let's see, where is August? So this right here was the double XP peak It looks like it peaked right at the announcement. Oh, sorry, not at the announcement, but actually the beginning of double XP was not the announcement, and that was a peak of 1332 is what it looks like. So the blue line is the one that is going to show you what the Grand Exchange mid price was showing at the time. The red is the average during that time period. So we want to be looking at the blue line. Something too, if you guys have been watching my videos previously, you know that I've discussed double XP items before. Something we want to keep in mind though, based on some of the stuff I've said before, is that the price of an item in the Grand Exchange, like the mid price, if an item is being heavily bought out, which means it's, see how this item is rising, it's just rising and rising and rising, that is because the item was way above the mid price. So just because this says 1332, they might have been 1400, 1500, maybe 1800 each. It's like 1800k each in the Grand Exchange. We don't know based on this. We can just use this kind of as a guide. So if we look at the previous one, so the most recent double XP, we see a peak of 1478, and it looks at, once again, it was right at the beginning of double XP. They just skyrocketed on up. If we look at this graph and we see how it just starts going up and up and up and up and up and up, right here where it's rising really quickly, on this day, November 6th, which is the announcement day, these things were actually probably already well over 1600 each. And so you don't need to wait until 14th of November to sell your item off. You can actually sell your item off at a point like, on the 6th of November, 7th of November, where it's actually probably way higher than the Grand Exchange shows. I hope that makes sense. So going based on our information right here, we have something right around 1.5 million. So if we look back at my Grand Exchange and you see that I was buying them for like 1266, 1283, stuff like that, even if you bought them for the mid price of 1300, that is still a good amount below what they potentially will rise to when double XP begins. So that is just kind of like a very basic way of seeing like how much profit could you potentially make. If I was buying them for this 1.2, whatever price here, then it looks like I'm gonna make something around like 20-25% profit is like a good starter number. I might make a little bit more than that, but 20-25% profit on a double XP item is pretty good. Something else I want to mention too, before I forget, is that the average amount you're going to make per item should be something around 10 to 30%. If you're making above 30%, then that would make it an excellent double XP item. Especially because of how double XPs are, how they go right now. If we look back at this graph, you can kind of see how they've already started rising, like these have already started rising. The reason why they started rising is because people know that we have a double XP every we have them 4 times a year now. So people know generally when we're going to have another one. So that's why the prices already started rising. So you'll be buying items like look at this blue line, look at this blue number right here. If you would have bought them for 1.1 million, then by the time they jumped up to like 1.5 or higher, then you made a significantly higher percentage. So if you want to make a really high percentage, buying things really early or at the very end of the last double XP is going to be your best time to be doing it. But that doesn't mean you can't buy right now. And that's just something else to keep in mind though. Okay, our next example is going to be an item that is very commonly bought for double XP. So if any of you guys have actually done double XP investing previously, then you've probably bought this item. It is super ranging potions. So super ranging potions have been like a pretty staple for double XP investing for as long as I can remember, honestly. And I am looking at the super ranging potion 3s. You can obviously buy the 4s, but the 3s have a much higher trade volume. So being able to get them for a cheaper price is, it's much easier to get them for a cheaper price, and you will also be able to buy them quicker. So I do usually stick to the super ranging 3s, as well as the 3s of most every other potion that I would buy for double XP investing. There's a couple you'd probably buy as 4s if they're more common that way, but just look at whichever one's more common. So when right here, we can see the market price right now is 20,146. So as you see, I am legitimately buying these for 19,200 a piece, which is pretty awesome. If we take a look at the graph, we can see just how awesome that is. But let's keep in mind that they do have a buy limit of 1,000. Let's go ahead and look at the super ranging potion graph right here. So as you can see right here, the price I'm buying them at is still significantly higher than what they were at a low point, but it is definitely lower than what they've ever been during a double XP, and lower than what they've been for pretty much the entire, history of this 1 year graph. So overall, I would say that's a really good price. You're buying them for 19,200, even if double XP wasn't happening. If we look at the time though, so we've got November and then we've got August. So if we look at November, they were about 22,400, and that is at the start of that. You can look at the announcement date though. This is one of those items that rises the most during the announcement, and that is usually how most potions will go. They're about 24,000 a piece, which is pretty awesome. That would be a 5,000 profit. That would be about 30%, maybe a little bit more. I'm not going to do the extreme math on that one, but that means it would be a very, very, very good item if I was buying them at the price I'm buying them at, which I am. If we look at August too, so we go all the way back here. So this right here was the announcement for the August double XP. And there's 26,000. So 26.4K. If I was actually able to sell these at this point, that would be a pretty significant amount of profit that I'd be making on them. So that'd be pretty awesome. But as you can see though, when you're looking at items, you just want to make sure you're not buying them at too high. So here's an example of maybe too high. If we look at this 3-month graph, we'll go and zoom in a little bit. Look right here. You can see they're at like 21.2. If we looked at the previous double XP of being like 23.7 or whatever, 21.1, we look at like the actual start of double XP being 22.4, that potentially makes buying them above 21,000 maybe a little bit more of a risky buy. Yeah, you'll probably make some money. You're not going to make much more than 10%. And actually, if you sold them at the beginning right here, the actual date right here, you're not even going to make 10%. Like, okay, all right, you might make, no, you're not even making 10%. So, that's something you generally want to avoid. The only time that I would recommend that you do go into like a very low margin, higher risk item, like buying them at this point, would be that if you just have a lot of gold and you don't mind sinking them into another item. You don't really want to overstock one item. So if we look back here, look at my sale history again, I'll just show you guys again. We're looking at like my Elder Rune Full Helm plus 5s. In my Elder Rune Full Helm plus 5 stash right now, I probably have like 1,100 of them or something like that. That's probably all that I've got, honestly. And that is pretty close to as much as I would want. The reason why is because once double XP begins, you guys are not going to be able to instantly sell everything for profit. It's going to be a slower sell-off, and you're going to be selling them out for that high point. If you are still selling and then the price starts to go down, you potentially could lose some money. And in best case scenario in that one, you would just earn like a very small profit or break even. So that is a situation you don't want to put yourself into. So if I was looking at super ranging plus 3s and I, let's say I was like, how many of these should I probably buy up? Let's say I'll buy like 200,000 of them. I would probably be a little cautious to buy more than 200,000 of something like a potion, because it's like I said, it's going to take some time to sell them off. Now you can sell these to other players too, especially the items that have a lower buy limit, like these Elder Rune Full Helms and the super ranging potions both fall into the category of being able to sell those to other players because they have a lower buy limit than what people would actually need to use. A higher buy limit item like an ore or something, not really very many people are going to buy them. So that's another thing to keep in mind too. It's like, okay, but I could sell some of these to people. Just keep in consideration how you're going to get rid of the item once you've bought it. Okay, our next example is going to be a little bit of a shorter one, and I'm also going to be comparing it to something else. It is actually going to be the pitch can. So I'm going to use my sale history here so you guys can see the pitch cans I've actually already bought and sold, because I have this really wonderful example of a quick flip on them. So as you can see right here, I've got these pitch cans full. Now, as far as I know, I would probably recommend just buying the full ones, because I don't know, they seem to be the ones that they're the ones that people are going to want to buy. Just like panic buy. So if you were going to flip something like a pitch can, I probably would do that rather than an empty one. I don't really see people on double XP buying empty pitch cans because they'd have to go fill them up, and that just doesn't seem like, you want to be ready for double XP. You don't want to have to go get ready. So I would just stick to the full ones for this example. But what I did is I bought these pitch cans for 16.5 million each, which was the Grand Exchange mid, by the way. It was like 200k above the mid price because they weren't buying for mid. So I bought 5 of them for mid price roughly, and then I sold them actually pretty easily for 20 million a piece. So as you can see, I spent 82.5 million and I got 100 million back. So I made like 17.5 million on this flip of 5 pitch cans. This right here is a great example of something that you can take advantage of for double XP that almost nobody knows. So we've talked about items that are like super ranging potion that are very common. We talked about Elder Rune Full Helm that are a little bit less common and are also kind of expensive, so a lot of people can't buy a whole lot of these, which makes them a pretty good item. And then now we'll talk about something that people really don't look at much. So pitch cans are used for fire making line training. They are probably the fastest reliable source of fire making XP to grind it out. So that does make them pretty desirable for double XP, but they are extremely low volume. There's really not that many of these that are probably floating around the Grand Exchange at any given time, which is why if you do manage to snag some, then you can probably put them in for quite a bit higher than you paid for them. To be honest with you, you can like totally take this example from the video and start flipping pitch cans if you want, but I honestly would say you could probably sell these for more than 20 million. Like, these sold decently quick. I would not even be surprised if you could sell them for 25 million. So this is another example of an item that you can start selling. I was not expecting these to sell right away, by the way. I was like, well, I'll put them in for 20 million, just let them sit there while I'm buying more of them, because I was planning to go back and buy more. And I'm offering a little bit more this time because they just don't seem to be coming in. Like I said, there's not very many in the game. So I wasn't expecting them to sell. So it looks like it's something you could be flipping on the way up to double XP as well, as people are kind of trying to stock them as you go. But anyway, there you go. There's a really random item that turned out to be pretty awesome, and maybe it'll be helpful for you. Another item example I want to show you guys is actually a pretty easy one to show you because they're also in my Grand Exchange right now. So this is going to be the Bane Plate Body +4. So the reason why this item right here is good is for the same reason as the Elder Rune Full Helm +5s. What people are going to do is they're going to be making burial armor with this, which is the fastest way to train your smithing in the game. So for the same reason they'd buy this, they're also going to be buying the Bane Plate Body, which is why they both rise. And this is pretty awesome to be able to show you a very reliable example of this, because as you can see right here, the market price for the Bane Plate Body +4 is 658k. If we go in my history right here, I can actually show you what I paid for them. Let's see, that was one instant buy. Scroll down. There we go. I was like, please be in there. So we've got 564,000. So just like the Elder Rune Full Helms, it's another one of those items with a 100 buy limit that you can buy for way less than, you know, what it says you should be buying them for. So we've got 564,000 each that I paid on the Bane Plate Body +4. So 564k. Let's keep that in mind. Come back over here. That is almost 100,000 less than the market price. So as you can see, just because they are actually selling for way above doesn't mean we can't also buy them for way below. Now, the reason why I put them in here for $8.99 was because I came in, and as you can see, I was like, I'm going to instant buy this Bane Plate Body and then instant sell one, and then I'll be able to see how much I should be buying them for today, because it's important to be able to check the current going price of an item. That's why you see the price check in here too. It's good to keep like price checking and seeing where an item is. That way you don't have to pay more than you need to. For example, I was buying Super Ranging Potion 3s at 19,961, but when I came in and instant bought one at 19,353, I was like, instant sold one at 19,353, I was like, oh, I could be paying way less today. So it's very important to always do price checks and don't just be like, okay, let's buy another buy limit of 19,961. Definitely double check your prices. So that's how this happened right here. The Bane Plate Body +4, I instantly bought it for 900,000, and I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. So I started selling them for just about the same price. And so this is an example of an item that the target price for Bane Plate Body +4 on the graph for this for double XP would be something around 800,000 to 900,000. That is probably how much you try to sell it on double XP. So as you can see, these items really do work. So when I'm talking about all these different double XP investments, here you go. Here's a literal example of one that's already rising. Now, I really would not expect, you to go and buy Bane Plate Bodies and flip them right now for this price, because as you can see, I've only sold 12, and this has been over a day. So I wouldn't really rely on this too much, but trying to scoop up an item like a Bane Plate Body and then hold them till double XP where there'll be a lot more buyers for this price, that is the main point of this. Alright guys, so I'm going to go ahead and run through a couple final examples, and then I've got like a couple notes just for double XP investing in general towards the end here, and then we'll be done with the video. If you make it through this whole video, you're freaking amazing. Make sure you leave a comment down below that you enjoyed the video and if it helped you or not. And also please join our Discord down below. We have over 12,000 members, 13,000 members. I'm not even sure how many we have right now, probably 13,000. and we would love to have you be a part of it. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump into it here. Summoning Potion 3 is another example I'd like to show you, and this is a really good example. That's the reason why I want to talk about it, is because as you can see right now, the blue line is quite a bit lower, so the price is quite a bit lower than what they have been for previous double XP. So the previous double XP was peaking at 25,000. They're currently almost 10,000 below that, which is pretty nuts. And I know that there are like, you know, a lot of the reason why an item would dip this much is because there's new ways to get the item in the game, or maybe just demand for the item has gone down a little bit. But at this price, I mean, you're not really risking much. So this makes this a really, really good item that people have not, you can tell people are starting to invest in them a little bit, but they haven't really hard invested into it. And the previous two double XPs are like 30,000 and 25,000. So yeah, just going by those numbers, this looks like a pretty amazing item. Next one's gonna be the Primal Extract. So Primal Extract is another item that's looking pretty good right now. We got them about 1,000 a piece in the Grand Exchange. They have gone up from people investing into them. So looking at about 1,000 right now. If we look at the previous double XPs, they're looking at like 1,200, 1,244. The one right before that is like 1,500. And the thing is though, is like, you know, remember that the double XP time, these average GE prices, you're going to be able to sell them for a little bit higher than the average GE price. So this says 1,244. You might be selling for 1,350, maybe 1,400, which makes them buying them at 1,000 a pretty solid investment. And I think that honestly, you should be able to easily hit your 20, 30%, maybe even higher on investing into these. So you got plenty of time on those. Next is going to be the Bottled Dinosaur Roar. So Bottled Dinosaur Roar is an example of an item that you might not want to do. So I wanted to show you this because there, you know, we talk about all these items that are like, oh, they're going to go up. This one's going to go up. This one's so obvious, blah, blah, blah. Well, some of them are obviously not something you want to buy into. And this would be a Bottled Dinosaur Roar. So this item potentially could rise even higher during double XP and you can make a profit. I'm not saying you can't. But what I am saying is that this item is very visibly more risky than many other items and makes itself into maybe not the best investment choice versus other things. If I was looking at the Elder Full Rune one here, right here, you can clearly see that the decisions here are a little more obvious. And then we look back here and the price they're currently at 6,700 is higher than the previous double XP's peak. So that is usually not a very good sign. But, here's the big but, is that just because these two didn't rise up that much doesn't mean it couldn't potentially be that much. Like we see back here in February 5th, they were 10.3K each, which is still considerably higher than 6.7K. So if you think these are going to rise even higher and pop up to 10 or 11,000 a piece, which they definitely could do that, then invest into them. If you don't think so, then maybe look at other things like summoning potions, because that seems pretty obvious. All right, and to finish off this video, I just want to give you guys some quick investing tips because I realize that, you know, telling you guys to buy into a whole bunch of different things, which honestly, I'm not really telling you to buy into any of these things specifically. These are really just examples of double XP items. I just want to make sure that's very clear. I'm not telling you to go buy Elder Rune Full Helms. You know, you can buy whatever the heck you want to. I'm just giving you guys some examples. You can also go look at tons of other items that you could potentially invest into, like mahogany planks or uncut dragonstones or uncut diamonds, or there's so many items you could be buying into. Just compare their graphs to the stuff I've shown right here, and it'll give you a good idea of whether or not it's a good or bad double XP investment. That's the point of this video. So if we look at this right here, though, investing in general is kind of a tough thing to do in RuneScape because you have to know how much money you should be saving for yourself for like gear and stuff like that, how much money you should be doing for daily flipping if you're doing flipping, and how much money you should be doing for long-term investments, and how much money you should be putting into double XP investments. As you can see, there are a lot of different ways for you to, you know, diversify your investments and flips and stuff like that. So trying to figure out how and how much to do, you know, it's really tough. So what I would really recommend you do is this. You're going to want to make sure that however much you're flipping with, whether you're flipping on 1 account, 2 accounts, 10 accounts, doesn't really matter how many accounts you're flipping on, make sure that you already have enough money set aside that you'll be able to continue flipping with those accounts. If you have to stop your flipping or slow your flipping down in order to invest into double XP items, then there's a really good chance that they're not really worth investing into. And a very quick and easy answer of the why is because, let's say while flipping, you're able to make 10% of your bank every single day. If you're able to make 10% of your bank every single day, then buying into an item that might go up by 20% in the next month, you know, obvious math right there, is not going to be as good as if you just took that money and flipped with it. So you should not take your flipping money away and start putting it into investments. That's basically what I'm trying to say there. Another thing too is long-term investments. So long-term investments should be something that come as a very, very, very low priority, honestly. They should basically be on the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to where you are spending your money. You want your flipping money to be at the very absolute top. So if you're doing flipping, then you want to prioritize all of your wealth towards that, because that will give you the daily profit. And the more money you have, the more money you earn. And there's really nothing faster in RuneScape besides flipping to make money. So definitely put it all there. The next thing down is probably going to be your gear and stuff like that. If you are actively doing some PVM or actively doing anything that would be earning you some more money, or skilling, or whatever you're doing, prioritizing your game progress. You want that to come right down after flipping. And then oh my god, I can't talk. The next thing after that is going to be your double XP investments or short-term investments. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be double XP investments, it just needs to be short-term investments. That is stuff that's going to be turned around very quickly. For example, double XP, probably within the next month or so. So that is a fairly short time period for an investment. So that is where we're going to prioritize that money for. And then finally, on the bottom of the totem pole there is going to be the long-term investments. Now, long-term investments would be something like this. It would be something like a present stack token. This is just something that I'm buying up for the fun of it. Don't take it too seriously, because I'm buying probably like 100 different items for the fun of it. But this is something that at one point was 344,000. Now I can buy them for 91K, and that seems pretty cool. I'm not really going to go deep into the investments in these. Another investment item here would be springs. I'm buying them for like 350 each. If you look at the graph for those, you can find out why. And then there's several other investment ideas for that too. These are just items that will probably rise in the future, but you're probably not going to be selling them off for a long time. Another great example of that would be if you look at my bank here and look at my stash of golden party hats. So this is another really great example. I have probably, each one of my accounts has something like 50 to 100 of these. So I'm just going to be investing into a whole bunch of these over time. And that is another great example of a long-term investment. It's not something I'm really thinking is going to go up in the next month or so. It's something that'll probably go up in the next couple of years. So that is how you want to prioritize how much gold you are putting into each thing. And that will get you the optimum progress for getting wealth or progress in RuneScape. If you kind of flip those around, you will probably noticeably notice when your progress overall for wealth slows down. If you guys have any more questions about that kind of stuff, you can just go ahead and ask me in the Discord down below. I'm always in there. And anyway, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. See you later.